All right, welcome to another episode of the Hustle Reports. Today we're going to be talking about how to be a super achiever, not an underachiever, not an overachiever, but a super achiever.
That's right. That's what it's all about.
My name's Peter Helms.
And I'm Suki. And we're here to bring you a great show filled with a lot of advice and wisdom coming straight to you from Peter and Suki on the Hustle Reports.
You got it. All that and more on the Hustle Reports. All right, welcome guys to an episode of the Hustle Reports. Today we have a very special guest, Michael Olszewski. He's coming all the way live from Mexico. He has multiple businesses. You don't want to miss this one. He's got some great advice for people just based on his experience alone. So my name's Peter Helms. This is Suki, my favorite co-host in the world. We're also going to be touching base on how to be a super achiever today. What do you think about that, Suki?
I live, eat, and breathe being a super achiever every day of my life. Now, I wasn't always, but it's all a mindset.
Got it. Well, let's not give him too much of that yet. There's been something I've been waiting to hear from you on.
Okay.
And I think others out there are actually waiting to hear about it too. You said you had stipulations if we went on this date for Valentine's Day. I don't know if you're going to do it or not, but if we did, you said last time that you had stipulations. What are those?
Oh, yes, that's right. Well, I didn't know if you were serious about it or
All right,
not.
come on. Are you going to go on a date or no?
Well, just in case you were, I actually prepared myself today.
Okay.
Okay, and I wrote down the stipulations.
All right.
This is how
shoot.
serious I am about this. So how it works is I want you to answer the questions the way that I would like them to be answered. So if you don't answer them correctly,
Hey, this is your stipulations. I'm just here to get the date.
I'm just kidding. I just want to pull information from you and bring it back to the viewers. All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What top 2 things do you think you need to have a successful relationship?
Okay. Honesty and transparency and trust.
All right. So what's that mean to you?
So transparency is just like letting the other person know exactly who you are and what you're about, and don't try to be anything other than that. And if they like you, they like you. If they don't, they don't. So that's transparency. Speaking what's on your mind in a respectful way, always kind of being an open book in that regard, not holding any secrets from your person that you're dating.
Okay.
And then trust, you really just got to trust that person that they're going to come into the relationship with,
Yeah,
good
whatever.
intentions.
Cool. Well,
And if they're not, then oh well, that's their problem.
I feel you've been doing that anyways. I think we both have, right?
I have, for sure.
So when we first started this show, you just kind of sat me down here and said, go ahead, talk. And I really didn't know what to expect, and you the same thing too. So that's how we kind of got to know each other.
Literally, guys, that's what I did. I was like, you would make a great co-host. And she's like, I don't know. I'm like, just come on the show and try it.
I thought I was just going to come and look at the studio and see all of this equipment, and then you told me, sit in this chair, we're going to record whatever we're talking about. I'm like, this is just really weird. Never in my wildest dreams did I think that we would be here how many episodes later?
Yeah. I joke around and say it was all of this was just to get the girl, but it wasn't. That wasn't in the plan. I just thought you would be a great co-host, and it's sort of evolved to me asking you on a date, and you've got me hanging in the balance now.
All right. Well, we have 3 more questions. We're going to just make this really quick. So,
all right.
Okay. So do you have any hobbies?
Work. Not really hobbies. I just love what I'm doing. I'm building companies. I love to, really just be a father, number 1. And number 2, just build my businesses. And that's it. It's my hobby.
Cool. Well, we have that in common.
Nice.
Yeah. So my hobbies are also work. I love working. Working's my life.
Yeah, if you love what you do, it's not
Yeah,
work.
it's not. Okay. So why do you have a lot of pots and pans? Do you live with someone?
Did I say I had a lot of pots and pans?
You did. One day you were like bragging about your pots and pan collection, and I was just thinking that maybe you do cook.
Yeah, I don't really cook. I will if I have to, but it's not my thing. I'd rather do the dishes.
Oh, all right, cool.
Take out the garbage and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. So that settles that.
I'll do it if I have to, though.
Right.
But you're an amazing cook. I've had your food, so those
Yeah.
pots and pans would potentially be for you one day.
Whoa. All right. Let's get through the line of questioning first, and then we could even talk about, you know, the part where you're going into. All
I'm
right.
jumping the gun, I know.
The last question. Where are you going to take me for Valentine's Day?
Interesting. Where do you want to go? I mean, I know of a really good restaurant locally that has, the menu hasn't changed. It's been the same for years, and it's really, really good. The owner puts a lot of passion into his food. It's like Italian/Mediterranean food, and I remember you saying you like that. So if you're open to going to Prime 82, I would like to take you there.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, do you have to answer this question on air right now?
I mean, I think people want to know.
Oh, what the heck? Okay, I'll go.
Yeah, all right.
I like
and
that
Pebbles,
food.
sorry. That would be cool if you came, but this one, we just want to go on a Valentine's date, okay? Maybe next time you and your husband can come with.
All right, so that's where you guys can find us, I guess.
Yeah,
Right?
at Prime 82.
Yeah.
So, all right, now we've got that out of the way. I'm super excited that you said yes. Pretty awesome stuff. Now, let's kind of go into, you were talking about something earlier, and I really wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. I had a lot going on. But you mentioned this new trend in clothing.
Right. So, in the world of fashion and clothing and manufacturing, in regards to apparel, a lot of people are going towards sustainable and biodegradable fabrics and textiles. And the reason why is because animal products are a little bit outdated, and you know, people want to do things that are cruelty free. So there's like 3 new things that are happening. So there's something called a sea fiber. Have you heard of this before?
Never.
Okay, so it's made out of eucalyptus pulp and seaweed powder. So the feel of it is very silky and smooth. And a dress is probably in the neighborhood of like $295, and a top.
Wait. $295 for seaweed?
It's eucalyptus and seaweed.
Oh, it's eucalyptus seaweed.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it sounds cool that they're trying to like save the whales and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm all for that, the eco-friendly thing.
Yeah, it's just really interesting that in, I guess, entrepreneurship, when it comes to making fashionable items, they're just coming up with new and innovative ways to use other types of sources of textile and fabrics and materials. So it's just pretty neat.
Nice.
Okay, so that's sea fiber, and like as in letter C.
Yeah.
Okay, so a pajama top is like $120. So if you don't want to spend $295 on a dress, which I can't imagine you would want to wear a dress anyways.
No. I've got this no self-control, anti-social social club shirt, though.
Yep, 100% cotton.
100% cotton. No sea fiber, seaweed, eucalyptus seaweed. But I do have self-control. Never did in the past, but now I actually do, which is cool. I just like the shirt that says no self-control. I think a lot of people can relate.
Yeah, I definitely can. And I am in control, but at times if I'm just into something like a project, sometimes I just lose myself in whatever it is I'm doing.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I've seen it. But it's also a gift. You really know how to focus and get honed in on a project until it's seen all the way through. Like when we lit up the city last night.
Oh, that's true. That was
Yeah.
really fun.
Check it out on my Facebook page. You'll see we actually flipped the switch and lit up 1,000 points of light all over the city. It was pretty cool. These little light bulbs, like these Edison type bulbs.
It was the last segment to the Downtown Norwich Streetscape Lighting Project. So proud to say and proud to announce that it's done. So come downtown to Norwich, Connecticut, and enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think it's about time that we introduce our guest. He looks like he's online for this show. His name is Michael Olszewski. I'm going to let him introduce himself. He's got multiple businesses into real estate as well. So I think you two will have some cool stuff to talk
Ooh.
about. But yeah, so without further ado, we have Michael Olszewski all the way from Mexico. Michael, how are you doing today? Good to see you.
Good seeing you too.
So if you could tell our audience a little bit about you and your background, like what your businesses are about.
One of my businesses is transportation, and I'm also involved in real estate, group homes, and hard money lending. It's about probably the four major things I'm involved in.
Nice, nice. So let's talk about the transportation one first. How did that start? What does it look like? Do you do like taxi service? Do you do, maybe private transportation, or what is it?
Yeah, so the Ace Transportation is a multifaceted transportation. So we do, non-emergency medical transportation. We do school transportation. We do black car service. We do taxi service and delivery. And I got into that in 1983. I started driving actually a taxi. I was in between jobs, and a friend of mine said, "Hey, you want to drive a cab?" And I was like, sure, sounds interesting. And so I started driving, and then in 1985, I bought one taxi. You could buy a taxi plate from somebody that was selling one, and there was a guy that was selling a couple, and I bought one, and started from there.
Nice. Now, how many cars you guys have on the road now?
Well, because of COVID, probably 45, but we have, like 80 vehicles. A lot are parked right now.
Wow, that's a story right there. Going from just, you driving a cab as like a side hustle to buying that first one. What were you feeling back then? Were you excited when you got that first cab?
Yes, I was, because basically I was leasing a taxi, and so I was, working for myself, but I had to pay a fee, to the owner of the taxi. And so I, bought one so I didn't have to pay the fee. And, then I'm working for myself, and I was working a lot. I was probably working somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 or 100 hours a week. I mean, it wasn't, but I was into it. I mean, I was making really good money, and it was 1985, and it was great. I actually enjoyed it. I liked it,
Where was the taxi business at? Was it in Connecticut?
Yes, it was based in Enfield. At that time, the plates that were specific to the towns were Enfield, Suffield, East Windsor, and Somers. That was where you could pick up, and you could also pick up at the airport. You could pay a fee to the state and get into what they call the queue line and get trips from the airport. So you would do, there was two other guys that had a permit, and we basically split a phone, so we had a phone number. So I would have the phone on Monday for all day and night. The other guy would have the phone on Tuesday. The other guy would have the phone on Wednesday. And then, I would have it again on Thursday. We split up the phone that way. Plus we had our own regulars and whatnot. And plus we had the airport.
Neat. So from the taxi business, then where do you go from there?
So in 1986, I bought Vernon Taxi. That was 3 more taxis. And I moved out to Vernon, and I ran it out of a apartment. I had a girlfriend at the time, and she would answer the phones. I would drive, and I had now 4 cars. Then a year went by, and I got another car, and I had 5 cars, 5 taxi plates. And so that was by 1987. And still, you're working like, I remember her waking me up. There's a fare at the Quality Inn going to Worcester for $80. I remember that one distinctly, because it was like 2 a.m. I had worked from like 5 a.m. to midnight. And so I dragged myself out of bed, got in the car, went to the Quality Inn in Vernon, and picked up a guy at 2 a.m. going to Worcester for $80. But in 1985, $80 is a lot of money,
Yeah, so you must have jumped up out of bed and said, you know what? I don't want to be up right now, but I'm gonna go do this if I want to have this company
Oh
grow.
yeah, no, yeah, it was, it was definitely, I did not want to get out of bed. Don't make it seem like I did. I you know what I'm saying? I got out of bed because I wanted wanted the business. The one thing about the transportation business is you have to show up. Like if you don't show up, if you're late, if you're, people will tell their friends and they won't call you. I mean, it can be, really, devastating to your business if you don't respond.
For sure.
Right. All right. So then you scaled and you grew this company from a handful of taxis to 80. So when did all that take place? And then how did you get into real estate?
I think by 1994, actually in 1994, I did go bankrupt. I want to put that in there. I made some wrong moves and I did the wrong thing. But I was able to hang on to the taxis. And by doing that, I had a springboard to restart up. And by that time I had like 10 taxis. And then probably a couple of years went by, I rebuilt. I was partners with another guy on a company called Call a Cab. That was probably 1995, 96. And we leased like 20 taxis from guys in New York City that owned these plates. And then so we split that. And we each had our own companies. He used to own a company called Executive Cab. And I had my Ace Transportation, and we split Call a Cab. And we operated basically out of this office in Windsor, down near the boat launch in Windsor. And that Call a Cab, was, became successful also. We were leasing the cars and then that kind of fell apart. They wanted us to buy the permits. I was kind of afraid to buy them. I was, it was a lot of money. And then by but I kept increasing cars. I ended up from Yellow Cab. I bought 30 taxi plates. I got a loan from the bank, which was like a miracle. I can't believe even to this day, I can't believe they loaned me, but I sold them, and I put up 50 per day, financed 50% of it, and so I had 30 more, and then I got some liveries, and probably to fast forward, I would say by the time picking up plates as I went along, by the time 2010 came, that's when I got up to 80.
Wow.
I was at 40, I was at 50, I was at 60. And, but at around 1997, 96, 97, I was like, what if anything ever goes wrong with the taxi business? What am I going to do for money? How am I going to, and, who would have ever thought of Uber, right? So, I was like, I really got to diversify. And so I bought a little storage center in Ellington, Connecticut, and the same bank, Rockville Bank, the old, that was the original. Now it's People's United and all that. But they financed the Ellington storage for me, his little storage center, down in the Ellington Five Corners. And, just to, put a plug in, there's a guy by the name of Matt Allen. He's a commercial realtor out in Vernon. I think he's 101 right now. So he was like, 80 or 76 when I met him. And I was trying to buy an apartment building with like 17 apartments or 16 apartments. And he's like, what the hell do you want to do that for? And, buy this little storage center. And I did that, I listened to him. So, it wasn't my idea. I was like, I think, as life goes, some of it's luck and some of it's hard work. And if you, I think, mix it all in, your heart is in it and you work really hard, I think that you can, anyone can be successful. And then I bought Vernon Storage, which was up the street in Rockville. Then I built one in Tolland, and I built another one in Vernon. And, then I had some partners and built one in Cape Cod. and I still have that one actually today, and with a partner. And I don't know. Then I was like, well, somebody said, Mike, you should get into the group home business, and I'm like, why? And they're like, oh, you can make some money, So I said, all right. So I tried it with a partner, and to put it in there, partnerships are very difficult, and I don't think I'll ever do another partnership. I'm 60 years old now, and I'll never do that. I mean, they're difficult. Right. And so I had a partnership, and that kind of fell apart. And then I had another one. The guy approached me, a lawyer and a psychiatric nurse. He was, and he said, "Oh, I really want to do one of these, group homes." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll do it with you." So I did it, and we did one. Then we got another one. Then we got another one. It was like we had three. Then I'm like, "Listen, I can't. I have way too much to do." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry, you don't have to do anything." And then we ended up having 15. And then there, was a resentment. He had a resentment because I had other businesses going. You know what I'm saying? And I just couldn't put the time in. And so that, another partnership. But he ended up passing away and whatnot. It ended up working out with his wife, and I bought her out. But the bottom line was, you know what I'm saying? It's a partnership, and there's all kinds of, things change, people change, people's ideas change. This one's not working hard enough. So partnerships are really difficult.
Right.
And
yeah, I was going to say that it's really interesting because in the very beginning, when you grew your taxi company, you kind of, maybe not in a sense partnered with people, but you had to collaborate when you were, what did you say? It was like Ace Cab, and then there was Executive, and then you got the other cab company, and then there was the 76-year-old guy. So in a sense, it was like you were cultivating different teams or like people that you had to work with.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. I did do that. I would agree with that.
It's just that maybe that partnership with the group home business model didn't work out so well. But the other ones are what helped you to scale and grow along the way to where you're at the point enjoying your time in Mexico.
I'm still working. I mean, I'm here. Yeah. I work in the morning and go to the gym, work in the afternoon. I don't not work. I have a lot of stuff going on.
Right. Are you eating good food down there?
Yeah, as you can look at me and see, that's one of my problems is eating.
No, you look great.
No, you look really great because when you were saying that you started your cab company in 1983, I'm sitting here thinking I'm 2 years old, and you just don't look old enough to have been doing all of those things for that long.
Yeah, I know. I don't have many. All my gray hairs are here. They should all be here from all the aggravation.
Yeah, but they're not because you're down in Mexico eating that good food.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I have a question actually. So there was a point in there that you mentioned a bankruptcy, and a lot of people in business would have given up, I think, at that point.
True.
But it sounds like you really had a different idea at that point, because it sounds like your business took off after the bankruptcy. Well, what was that all about? Like, how did you overcome that? That must have been really challenging.
Well, I mean, I think that, if I look back at it, it's like people make mistakes, and I made mistakes, what I mean? Don't overextend yourself. Don't, I'm very conservative now. Like, nothing, I'm pretty well diversified, but nothing is going to shake me. I mean, COVID didn't put me out of business anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that even I'm responsible. I'm not living the life of a grandiose big shot lifestyle. I really kind of don't do that. I don't do toys. You know what I mean? I live in a middle class house. I don't have a big expensive house. And, I just think that, the forces of life, or whatever you want to call it, things happen that, you have no control over, or maybe you do have some control over, or maybe you get sick, or maybe it's health issues. I know friends of mine with health issues that went bankrupt, and they came back, I think that it's an, entrepreneurial spirit, if I go back and look at the things I did, I remember when I started and I had 8 cars. I was the dispatcher, the bookkeeper, the janitor, I was the one ordering supplies, and that's a key. And you have to do a lot of the work yourself. A lot of times people start a business and they want to hire everybody to be, okay, I'm going to sit back and collect money, and this is what I'm going to do, and that it doesn't work that way. I mean, you need to, to pour your foundation. You got to work a million hours. It's that simple.
I love it, and I know our Hustle Nation is going to love that right there. That's the stuff we always get up here and really push. Hard work forever pays, and especially starting out in a business. I mean, you couldn't. I couldn't even said it better than you. Everything you said, I 100% agree with, and yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, you are a living testimonial, a living legend to being a super achiever. That's what that sounds like.
Definitely.
I don't know about a legend.
Oh, no, you are. You've touched the lives of so many people, and you probably don't even know. I mean, the group home alone, if it weren't for you having all those properties, then those people wouldn't have a place to live. Or I'm sure in the cab business, when people are left high and dry, stranded in the middle of the night, after partying at a bar. Back in the 80s, I'm just thinking you must have a lot of stories to tell of your adventures of being in the cab business. That one phone call to the cab company has really saved someone's butt out there. I mean, I've been in that position before. Yeah. So you're almost like a guardian angel in that sense. You may not see it, but on the flip side.
Yeah, no, I know, because I was going to say, I've never been called a guardian angel. I've been called a lot of things, but not that.
Well, for me, even like now, if my car breaks down and I'm calling for an Uber, when the person shows up, I'm like, thank fucking God, you are the savior, the guardian angel, because I have shit to do, and if it wasn't for that person, coming to get me, then I wouldn't have been able to accomplish everything that I set out to do. So, yeah.
And I don't know if you know this, Michael, but I actually, one of those group homes that you owned really was pivotal in my life when I needed to rebuild. So I was actually on the other end of that. So I wouldn't be where I'm at today with the companies I have and this podcast and all of that if it wasn't for that venture you went on with the tough partnership and all of that. So yeah, you actually impacted a lot of lives with those group homes.
No, it's great seeing success stories. It does make you feel good seeing success stories. I have to admit that. It's great. A lot of people don't make it, and the people that do, it's good to see that.
Yeah, there's this feeling in entrepreneurship where you find fulfillment, and it's very gratifying at the end of the day to know that whatever it is that you're doing, you've at least touched the life of one person, even if it's just a minuscule thing.
For sure. So I just want to thank you, Michael, for coming on today. You shared some really, really good stuff. Really appreciate you. If you were to leave with some parting words to our audience, what would you say to them?
As far as success goes?
Yeah, business success, life, success, anything.
I don't know. Try to be humble and work. You have to work like a million hours. I mean, I said it. I worked 100, then I worked 90 as the years went on. I don't think I ever got under 60. It's like I'm answering my phone at 11 o'clock at night. I'm answering my phone at 6 in the morning. And I still do that to this day. People will say, oh, I don't want to bother you. It's like, bother me. I want to be bothered. Yeah. So, you got to live and breathe it. That's if you want the benefits, you gotta suffer with the work part of it.
Yeah, it seems like you live and breathe the hustle.
100%.
Yeah, I would say that too.
Well, thanks a lot. We'll be in touch, and okay. Just appreciate you coming on today, Michael.
Yeah, thanks so much for sharing your story. I really, really enjoyed having you here.
Okay, great.
All right. Bye for now.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, my biggest takeaway from him was, one, don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Diversify.
Because I was waiting for that point. He was talking about the taxi business, and I'm like, but how did you get into all the other things that you were doing? And he said it himself. He was like, he was afraid that if the taxi business didn't work out, where was he going to get money from?
Yeah. He knew it. And you know
Yeah.
what? Those decisions really prepared for what happened with the whole Uber thing. You know,
Right.
Uber really made a dent in the cab business. And so he kind of saw that coming and said, you know what? I need to diversify and create some other streams of revenue. You know, nothing's promised.
Right.
A market that's booming today could be gone tomorrow.
People like him fascinate me because they go from one thing to the other, and there's like all this balancing that they have to do to accomplish it all. And they do it not because, I guess it's at the end of the day, it's not because of the money. I mean, he works 90 hours a day. So that's taking up precious golden time for him to like laze about and watch TV and, you know, I don't know, just sit around, right? Like everything's work, work, work. And there must be a higher purpose driving him.
Oh yeah, and we've been going back and forth in messages, trying to find a time that would work for both of us to do the podcast. And I know him personally. You know, it's been a while since we've seen each other, but the guy definitely works hard, and that's what it takes as an entrepreneur. You got to really buckle down. If you want to be an entrepreneur, it's not this flashy life all the time.
Yeah.
You know, some people see entrepreneurship or be a business owner and like, oh, I get to drive nice cars and wear nice clothes and play around on a yacht. No, it's not. Most of it is not that.
He's so modest and low key. He's just sitting at his desk in his house, just, you know, on the computer. You know, he's not showing us like, hey, I've got all of this flashy stuff in the background. Look at this thing that I bought.
Yeah.
So I just love that part about
Humility.
him.
He said
Yeah.
it. You know, one of the
Yeah.
keys. If he was leaving parting words, the first thing he said is humility.
Yeah.
I believe he said that for a
100%.
reason. You know, I look at him as like a wise uncle.
Right. And you've known him.
Yeah.
So you could testify that there's truth to what he's saying.
Great guy.
Yeah.
There is truth
So
there.
cool. I'm so glad that we had him on the show. He's completely inspiring.
So today we're actually going to dive into the hustle report now, and we'll talk about how to be a super achiever. I don't think I've even ever heard of this. This is something we just came up with the other night.
Right. And I pulled the definition so we can read it.
Okay.
All right.
So the super achiever is a person who achieves much more than is normally expected. Extremely ambitious, successful, and rewarded. They are rewarded handsomely.
Yes, that's what it says on the internet. If
Am I
you guys don't
Am I
believe-
handsome?
Rewarded handsomely.
Oh, sorry. I got caught up in my ego for a second there.
But yes, you're very handsome.
Thank you.
Yes, a lot of people do tell me that.
You're beautiful. How about
Oh,
that?
thank you.
Look at this.
Wow.
This date is going really well.
We haven't gotten there yet.
All right.
Okay. But we will, I suppose. Anyways.
Super achievers get rewarded handsomely. They're really ambitious. But first, let's talk about what most people mention, which is overachievers and underachievers. So, what do you think about what's an overachiever to you?
Somebody that is an overachiever a bad thing? You know what? Let's take a moment right now to think about how people see overachievers. I've been called that, and it's just kind of been negative. People will say, "Oh, you're an overachiever. Oh, you're too ambitious."
So there was this one guy. I was working at this company a while back, and it was a sales role. And I just got hired, and like 2 weeks in, I was already hitting numbers above the top person, right? Like I was already tracking to excel beyond people.
Yeah.
After just a couple weeks. And the senior guy there, the guy who'd been there and everyone looked up to him, he's like, oh, I forget his name. I think he's like Tom or something, but the guy comes up to me. Everyone's bragging about Tom. If you want to do well here, you have to look at what he's doing. I'm like, fuck that. I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
Right.
So he comes up to me and he says, you need to stop. I was like,
Oh.
what do you mean I need to stop? He's like, yeah, you're hitting numbers and they're going to expect all of us to do that. What I said to him was, it's not my fault you're an underachiever. He got so red in the face and got mad.
Oh.
Started yelling, and I just laughed and walked away. Went and did what I had to do. Well, like 3 weeks later, when he realized I'm not gonna let him bother me, he actually came up to me and was like, hey, how are you doing that? He wanted to share. So I shared with him. I showed him.
That's
I was like,
nice.
you can't sell without a presentation. You need to have a presentation. You're just going, and you're getting some sales.
You're right.
Right? You're just doing this pitch, flying, shooting off at the hip with some stuff. But if you want to be a professional,
Okay.
you need to A, get that underachiever mindset out of you, and B, you have to be prepared going into it.
So there should be a strategy followed by an intention, and then that will lead to the purpose of why you're even there in the first place. One, to make sales. Isn't that why they hired you? And two, to do your job. So at the end of the day, you're just doing your job.
That's right.
Right. So
But yeah, so when I think of an underachiever, I think of someone who looks for opportunities. If I were to compare that to an underachiever, I'd say it's someone who waits for opportunities to come to them.
right. So do you think being an overachiever is okay? Like that's a good thing?
I think it's a great thing.
Okay.
I think you should be a super achiever, which we'll get into, which is like a step above that.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe we could talk about the difference between being an overachiever and a superachiever.
For sure. We definitely can.
Yeah.
So first I just want to kind of like talk about an overachiever for a second.
Yeah.
So an overachiever is someone who takes responsibility for everything they have going on in their life. An underachiever is someone who's going to make excuses. So for example, let's say you're not doing well at your job, or you're not getting great grades, or a business venture that you just started just isn't gaining the traction you thought it would.
Right.
An overachiever is going to look at it and be like, where am I going wrong here and how can I fix it?
Right. 100% accountability, 100% owning up to the situation.
Absolutely.
Even with COVID, I've been hearing a lot of people use COVID as an excuse. Now, we all know there is a global pandemic going on, but that shouldn't stop you from being able to shift and adjust your focus to still being able to achieve something. Don't just lay on the floor and like die at the end of the day. Like that's not going to accomplish anything, because what's going to happen is the global pandemic is going to be over. And if you wasted all that time laying down doing fucking nothing, what are you going to do when the COVID's over? What's your excuse then? Anyways, go on.
No, it's great stuff. I love it.
This shit pisses me off. I hear it all the time.
That's the earmark.
Due to the pandemic.
And they
Anyways.
get their reward. Don't get me wrong. And speaking of rewards, actually, so
Yes.
for the overachiever, the process itself is the reward, right?
So
the process
true.
itself.
Yeah.
For the underachiever, whatever whatever they get, like say it's a sales thing
Or a free t-shirt.
or a free T-shirt, whatever the completion of that work that they're doing is, that's the reward. Okay, I finished. I'm done. I'm going home. Right? I closed the deal. I made the sale. I'm done. That's the underachiever mindset. And some of you might be hearing that like, what's wrong with that? Because you're not going the extra mile.
Right.
Right? You're not gonna, if you really want big success, you have to achieve big things, and you have to have this mindset that it's never enough. I can
Right.
do more. Be hypercritical and say, you know what? I'm doing well. Like sometimes people hear this after, you've heard this after podcasts,
Yeah.
where I'll be done with it and I'll be like, man, I just didn't do good enough that time.
That's true.
And you'll be like, what? I've heard you a couple times. That was great. I was like, yes, it's great. We did great, but we can do like excellent.
Right. Yes, I'm hard on myself a lot. I always tell myself it's never good enough. You got to try harder. You just can't live with being satisfied if something's not 1,000%. Like forget 100%. Like that's achievable, but how do you take the process and bring it to another level? It's always about elevating and doing more than what's expected or required.
Oh, I love that one. That is
Yeah.
definitely an overachiever mindset, to do more than it is expected,
Right.
as opposed to just enough to get by.
Yeah, it's the whole under promise, over deliver mentality.
Yeah. Under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
And this way, like, you cover your basis where you're like, okay, at the very least, at least I delivered what was expected. But now, okay, so what's practical? Let's give someone something practical. Let's say you have a deadline to finish a project. Let's say you're hired for a project or whatever. A client hires you and they say, we need this done by March 1st. Right?
Yeah.
So it would be good if you have that mindset of an overachiever to say, I'm going to finish this by the 21st. And now I have, instead of I have these next 10 days to just fuck off, I'm actually going to take those next 10 days and see what else can I do that wasn't asked of me.
Right.
It wasn't even expected.
So it's results at the end of the day and what you're looking for. Okay, so can I give an example in like everyday life? Everyone could relate to this. So
Yeah.
if it's someone's birthday or Christmas or whatever holiday, and you're expected to do a gift exchange or give gifts to someone's birthday, you could just show up with the gift in the Walmart plastic bag and be like, here you go, I bought you chocolates. And then that's it. So you're going to be handed a gray plastic Walmart bag that you paid an extra 10 cents for. Or you could take the time to carefully wrap the gift, get like fabric ribbon, and really go all out, and then make a special greeting card. And as people call it, be extra. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm all about that when it
Yeah,
comes to
be
like,
extra. Who cares if
yeah,
someone
I love
gives
it because you know what it is? It's the result. So if I give you this gift, your entire face lights up, and if there's other people in the room, they're like, "Oh my God, like this is so."
Yeah, make
fucking
them look
amazing."
bad. Make others look bad. Like, don't even, no, seriously.
That's not my goal, but
But who cares?
I'm,
Just do it anyways. Like,
I'm raising the standard.
yeah, raise the bar.
Yeah.
100, yes, right there. A super achiever raises the bar.
Yes.
Like,
that's
they
it.
take it to a different level for sure.
Right. So then instead of the person just looking in the Walmart bag and getting the chocolates, instead we're standing there for a good 10 minutes carefully looking at the wrapping and the bow. And it's a whole process to unravel the present. And then opening up the envelope, which is sealed with like a gold sticker, and it's like handwritten. And that in itself, the presentation is so important because people will remember them opening and receiving that present, which in the first place, when you give someone a gift, there's like a reciprocal type of agreement that happens.
Yeah.
And I don't think the focus on that is enough. But it's the same thing in business. So if you just put some, I don't know, shit on a plate and be like, here you go, some refried beans, like it's $2 or whatever, that whole presentation isn't really going to be like a wow factor in someone's life. But if you presented the beans with like a fresh sprig of parsley and I don't know, just a nice plate, someone's going to be like, oh, wow, these are refried beans, but they took it to a whole other level. You know?
So, hon, I agree there. So let's talk about what makes a super achiever.
Yeah.
I want to go into that before this hustle report is over because I think that
True.
it's really important for people to think beyond overachieving even.
Yeah.
Right? So think like I'm gonna give the shout out, the plug here to Grant Cardone. He talks about 10x. Right? If your actual goal is $1 million, then set your goal in your mind as 10 million. 10 times beyond what you're actually trying to accomplish.
Right.
So that's what we're talking about, being a super achiever. So yeah, well, you want to be an overachiever. I would imagine no one wants to be an underachiever, but take it to the next level.
Yeah.
And I would actually say that teamwork is what separates an overachiever from a super achiever.
That is true.
Yeah, the ability to get some work done through other people and to be a part of a team. Like if you're gonna do the whole teamwork makes the dream work thing, then you can't just say, okay, how can I use all these people to get what I need done? It also needs to be where do I fit in? What can I do?
Right.
What role do I play on this team? And so that's a big part of it too.
Yeah, because you can only go so far alone. So there's only 24 hours in a day, and you can't clone yourself. I mean, maybe you can, but
I'm working on it.
Right, yeah. But really, in reality, you really have to collaborate and partner with other people and look for their strengths and see how they could align and match with your strengths so you could get to the goal and get as much done in the same amount of time that we all have.
So I hear people say this often. I'm sure you've heard it out there as well. Your network equals your net worth. Right?
Yeah, can you break that down? Because that sometimes is a little confusing for a lot of people.
I'd be glad to, actually. So, yes, everybody kind of gets that. The more people you have in your network, the more, options and opportunities you have. That's why it's good to go out and shake hands. But I'm actually going to break down the word network.
Okay.
And what that means is after all expenses, the amount of work you were able to accomplish through your team, that is your net work, right? There's a key word in it, net. So like if you have a paycheck, you don't go in and look at the number that says gross, do you? You look at the number that says, okay, what's my net income? After
Right.
all these expenses have been deducted, right? After all's been expended, what do I have left? That is what that word really means. It's after all said and done, we laid it all on the table. How much work were we able to accomplish as a team? That's your net worth. And that is what equals your net worth, right? That's why franchisors really understand this. If they're going to really grow and scale their operation, they need to grow and scale their ability to put out work, their labor force, right? That's what's going to, at the end of the day, really grow their income exponentially.
Right. So building that team or collaborating with partners, it takes a lot of energy out of someone. So you got to really be fully invested.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, that's what it sounds like, right?
Fully invested in it, and recognizing that, when you put together a team, make sure you're pulling the right people together. I think another thing that makes a super achiever is someone who has experience points.
Ah, yes, this is so true, because you can't really achieve what you want to unless you have done it before.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, the experience matters a whole lot. That's somebody you want on your team, is someone who has the skills, knowledge, ability to really get the job done with you. I like to find people who have talents that I don't have, right? I like to double down on my strengths, focus on what I'm good at, and whatever it is that I'm not so great at, I'll try it, because I don't want to ever ask someone to do something that I won't at least try to do. But I do recognize those areas where I might fall short a little bit, and I try to fill in those gaps with other folks, and then allow them to pull on me for those things that I'm good at as well. So experience points really matter.
So by experience points, are you kind of talking about being a professional in whatever it is you're doing? So more than 10,000 hours that you've put in?
Yeah, there's this book by Robert Greene called Mastery. I would definitely recommend it. Check it out. And in that book, he lays out that if you've worked or practiced something for more than 10,000 hours, you are considered a master at that.
Right, and it could be with anything. So say you're a child and you took dance lessons from the age of 5 to 15. So that's 10 years. So roughly, if you break down the number of hours you've spent, you've put in about 10,000 hours. So you could be a professional dancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you really dig deep and you're like, what have I done a lot of throughout my life, you'll find something you've done for 10,000 hours.
Sleeping, eating, and using the bathroom.
You're a given master at those things.
Right.
But maybe it's something else. Maybe you've read a ton of books. Maybe, you always like to go on these long drives, and you're a really good driver, right? We just had an example of somebody who turned driving into a career and then pivoted and turned that career into a business, a full-scale operation.
That's true. Yes.
So whatever you've done for 10,000 hours, that is your craft. That's what you have to bring onto a team, and there's a way where you can capitalize. Yes, I'm going to say that word, capitalize on your experience points.
Yeah, just monetize and make some money, because you're good at it anyways. You might as well get paid to do what you're doing.
Seriously.
Why not?
Seriously. So one last thing I'd like to actually put, and maybe you have something as well, is a super achiever is different from an overachiever in this one area. They have a higher purpose. They're not just doing it for the money. They're not just doing it for the accolades, the pat on the back. There's something greater than life that's driving them.
That's true, because if you were just in it for the money, then you probably would only do it for a certain amount of years, get your money, cash out, and that's it. Being a super achiever is a lifetime mission or journey, and you just can't stop ever taking that aspect out of your character, or out of who you are as a person. So there has to be a higher purpose, because that's why you wake up every day. That's your why.
100%. 100%. If you're going to put in those 16, 17-hour days that it takes to really grow a company, you have to ask yourself, why do I want to grow this company? Is it just the money? If that is, that's fine. You'll see some success. There's plenty of people out there that are driven by the cash, and they get to some level of financial success. But I would challenge you to ask yourself, why do I want to get into this passion of mine or this
Right.
career of mine or whatever it is. Ask
yeah.
yourself, why am I here? Why am I doing this?
Because you love it. That's why. I don't know anyone that would put in 18 hours a day and not love it. That's like a lot of time that you're putting into some type of work that you're not even getting paid for in the beginning. You're not getting money. In fact, you're using your own money, your own time, your resources, and it's taking up all the free time. All your friends are asking you, come out, come have dinner with us, come to the movies, like let's go to the beach. And you're like, no, I can't do any of that fun stuff. I really have to work on my business. And after a week, I'm sure you've heard this before, they're like, so how's your business doing? Are you making any money? And you're like, no, maybe in 10 years I will, maybe.
Yeah.
And they're like, why would you want to do that? And it's because I love it and I'm driven by a higher purpose.
100%. Yeah, there's a lot of books out there about this. If I were to give you some visual tool, right, I want you to picture the letter Y, right? The letter Y, a capital version of it. And start at the bottom. Start at the bottom and just visualize this as an exercise.
Okay.
Start at the bottom of it and picture yourself traveling up the Y as like you're just going along in life. And then you get to this center point and there's like a fork in the road, right? So visualize the Y as that center point as like a fork in the road. That's where major decisions are made, is at that point in the road. That's where you figure out why you are here, why you exist, why you're doing the business that you're doing.
Wow, Peter, that's so symbolic. But also, this is like a great takeaway.
Yeah.
For me, I've never even heard that before.
I use it, and it's so simple. It's just the letter Y. I've sat in there literally and just drawn it out sometimes. It's actually called the Pythagorean Y. There's like a whole thing behind it, like, philosophy and stuff. So it's not just Peter Helms making it up, although I'll take the credit for it.
I like to think that it is.
But yeah, so that's pretty much it. Like that's, what I see as a super achiever. Hope you find it helpful. Do you have anything you else want to share about this with our Hustle Nation?
Yeah, I'm going to start using that because even in minor life decisions, if I just picture the letter Y and I come to that fork in the road, that's the point where I need to decide if I go on, this route, where is that going to take me? Or if I go in this direction, then that's going to have a different option. So you're really faced with two things.
Right.
And it just simplifies the whole process. This is great.
It really does. And if you really want to take it to a higher level, once you know what you stand for, what is your why in life, now you can make your decisions, right? At that fork in the road, you can make your decisions with that in mind. Because there's a lot of stuff out there, it's a matter of preference. It's like, okay, there's not a real right and wrong here for me, but what do I need to do? And if you just use that visualization and you know why you exist and what your main purpose, your higher purpose in life is, you can incorporate it into that single decision.
You know what? I kind of use that decision-making procedure to decide on whether I should go on a Valentine's date with you.
Ooh.
Yes. So if you break it down, right, here I am thinking, okay, if I do say yes, then that's okay. We're just going to eat food. And if it doesn't work out, then we're back here doing the podcast and I'll be just doing my job and my business, whatever, living the same life. Or if I say no, then I'll miss out on an opportunity where we'll get to know each other a little more.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm flattered that you see it as an opportunity. For real.
Yeah, totally. It is.
It is. Yeah, I think we're gonna have a good date. And like you said, at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, sorry guys, we'll still be the same people here bringing you this show. I think it'll work fine.
I'm excited. We get the big countdown now. It starts. It begins.
All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Hustle Reports. Please make sure you give this a thumbs up and share it with your friends. You can also find us for the audio experience on Apple iTunes, Pandora, Spotify, wherever you want to tune in and listen, you'll be able to. Also, just want to let you guys know, coming soon is Forward Television. So we're a part of a network. This isn't the only show. So make sure you check out Forward TV on YouTube. You can catch all of our shows there. We have the Cultural Flip Side. We have News Rocky, the Ray Bones and Nodder Show, the She Can't Even Show, and much more to come. So make sure you tune in to Forward TV. That's our network. It is the All People Network, so we embrace everybody. It's like a home here. We really want to make sure we're bringing good content to you guys that you can enjoy.
Yes, to all the Hustle Nation followers worldwide.
All right, the best is yet to come, my friends.
Take care, guys. See you next time.